other big thing right now is money.
Yep.
Because, I mean, you got to buy Christmas presents, you just travel a lot, so that was expensive, you got more traveling to do. And a lot of people, especially some people I know, are like, you know what, I'm taking off from the gym for the next 2 months because I just don't want to pay for it because I got all this other stuff. What do you think about that?
I think that's a really big issue for a lot of people, and that's a real thing. That's not something you can just kind of dismiss. I mean, there's a lot of money you got to, especially if you're a parent. I mean, you're throwing on a lot of money this time of the year. You're buying for your kids. God forbid you have more than a few. That you're really blowing some money there. Not blowing, it's for good reason. You're not blowing that money. But, you're having to buy gifts for all your kids. You're having to buy gifts for your family. Even if it's small things here and there, even if you're only buying for 5 people, that's still money you're having to dish out. And so it gets really easy to say, well, maybe I should just lay off the gym this month. And that's, you got to have your priorities straight. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of places where people cut corners this time of year, just because of what we talked about before, where we're talking about the different foods you're eating now, is they're like, you know what, I'll cut back on eating so well. Like, I won't buy sweet potatoes this week. I'll buy bread because it's cheaper for the same amount of, let's say, even macronutrients.
Mm-hmm.
That gets a little dangerous, though, because you start, like, pulling little stuff like, yeah, I'll have a donut for breakfast instead. Yeah, I'll have McDonald's. And that ends up being more expensive if you go to, like, Chick-fil-A every morning.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot more than eggs and bacon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think a lot of people do that. You are spending a lot of money, like we just talked about, spending a lot of money on gifts for everyone and traveling and everything. And buying food to prepare for the big meals coming up and things like that. Like, I know my family does a huge Christmas meal just like Thanksgiving. I mean, it's like the same thing. Yeah.
Man,
and that's a lot of money going in, and I get that. But like you say, you don't cut corners in those things. And I think this is the big part of all of it is realizing your priorities. So saying, okay, in being realistic and something like that, you go spend $5 on a McDonald's breakfast. I mean, you could have eaten 3 eggs for way less than $5.
Oh yeah, man.
And got way more bang for your buck. I mean, that's easy, and it seems cheap for people because of these brilliant marketing schemes that have made it like that. But
they're pretty good.
Yeah, but grits and eggs is always going to be cheaper.
Yeah.
So definitely don't just go to those things that seem like the better way. Actually, do the research for yourself. Put them side by side. Say, okay, how long can I make a dozen of eggs last?
Yeah.
If I spend, if I break it down to where I'm spending $2 per meal on eggs, I'm not going to get cheaper than that at McDonald's or Walmart or wherever you go. Yeah. And going back to talking about money in other places, don't skip the gym that month. Don't let that hinder you.
Yeah.
And with spending money on all these bad meals and everything, if you were to take something that I say a lot, if you were to take and add up all month how much you spend on everything that's going to hurt your body, everything on sodas, everything on fast food, everything on ice cream, desserts, things like that. I'm not saying you shouldn't have those things, but if you were to, I mean, in moderation.
I was about to say, can you leave ice cream out of that? Because that's kind of,
But if you were to add up all of those things over the month, I guarantee you, I bet every dollar on a bank account, it's going to be more than what you would spend on the gym that month. So you're telling me at that point that you're going to spend more on hurting yourself than helping yourself. And that's exactly what you've done. And so definitely look at that and break it down and realize where your priorities need to be.
Yeah.
Go ahead and just get that out the first of the month. If your gym does a hand-to-hand payment, make it happen the first of the month. If you do a payment where you have to go into the system and pay it, do that the first of the month. If it's an auto withdrawal, don't mess with it. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Make that gym a priority. It's gotta be.
Or maybe you can ask him. Maybe if it comes out on the 15th, say, "Hey, can you make it come out on the 1st?"
Yeah. And then you can look at the rest of your bills and all the money you're going to spend on gifts and everything around what you had to spend on the gym. So all right, I've already knocked out, $150 for the gym this month. Now I have this much budgeted out to spend on whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, it's this holistic approach of this time of year stuff gets crazy, but don't put yourself in more of a hole when you get super focused on this stuff in 2 months.
Yep.
Because you're just going to be miserable then.
Yeah, absolutely.